into the online broadcast network, Afterbuzz TV. Over 20 million weekly downloads in over 150 countries, and your number one source for after-show entertainment. Afterbuzz TV, the destination for TV superfans. Producing aftershows for over 300 of your favorite TV shows, interviewing celebrities and showrunners, and bringing you behind-the-scenes exclusives. All thanks to E! Entertainment's Maria Menounos, producer Kevin Undergaro, and internet leader Akamai. Now, let the buzz begin!
You need a lighter in your hand.
Right. Create some real fire. Oh, ladies and gentlemen, it is the one and only Hell's Kitchen After Show. As always, we are here dishing out all the latest on the episodes because it's so hot and it's so full of fire. Hence the song. I'm your host, Lem Gonsalves. A little delirious today, but it's all good. We're going to get through it because that's how we go. You can find me all day on social media at The Poet Saint. We have none other than Miss Getting Crushes All Over YouTube. Miss Briana Phipps, what's up, girl?
Hey guys, you can reach me at bphipps14. Thank you for that wonderful introduction, Lem.
Oh, you know, I'm just keeping it real. Just keeping it real. Always holding it down like a bookend on the other side of the room. Mr. Frank Moran, what's up, man?
Not much, guys. You can follow me on Twitter at HappyGoJackie.
Yes. So, it is another raucous, wonderful episode of Hell's Kitchen. Of course, I like what they do is, you know, they always leave you hanging. You know, he has the eliminations, and then people go back, usually pissed, you know, because they were put up and they didn't deserve it or whatever. And then when the episode starts, it always starts as the continuation. You get right after, you know, them getting back into the dorms. And so this case, Jackie and Ashley were going at it because from the last elimination. And Jackie, okay, I get it, you know. She's full of drama. I understand, you know, is regarding the show, we like to see that as viewers, but I'm really getting sick of her. Like, she's getting on my nerves. She thinks, you know, she knows everything, and this episode was no different, in which, you know, people were trying to help her, and I don't need your help, and all of this kind of stuff.
She just doesn't listen. She
doesn't listen at all. She's very bullheaded. And I mean, at first I thought it was like, oh, you know, she's funny and, you know, this and the other. But really, it's starting to affect their team. You know, I mean, from the challenge that they had to dinner service, I mean, it's just really been a bad situation. And then it's funny how she tries to turn the tables, like, and we'll get into it, but when she starts talking about Ariel, because Ariel was, you know, given the task by Chef Ramsay, not by herself, to, you know, interview everyone and kind of decide who's going to go up for elimination. And she was upset, you know, and trying to say like, oh, she thinks she's got power and thinks of this and that. But really, she's terrible. I mean, you know, when you look at, you know, consistently, you know, people have mistakes here and there, things of that nature. But I feel like and could be editing, but I really doubt it in this case, that every single week she is, you know, not doing well.
No, and just always on the attack. Always on the attack, not able to take criticism. And it's one thing if you're able to just, you know, be self-deprecating or the occasional flare-up, but boy, she just will just attack everybody else and feels like there's nothing that she can't do.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Which I think... I think in a situation like this, yes, you have to assert yourself as a leader. You have to do your best. But at the same token, I think it's still good to be able to, you know, roll with your team and get help and when you need it, because that shows team dynamic and good team camaraderie.
Well, there's a difference between leadership and just doing things on your own and not having any care about anyone else.
Very true.
On your team. And that's what I feel like she has. She just wants to do everything herself and it's her way or no way.
Right. Absolutely.
I mean, there was that whole thing, I know it's later on in the episode, but with like the Beurre Blanc, where she's just like telling Ariel, oh yeah, no, it's just one cup. You can't eye it. Like I don't go by measurements, but like that's fine. Like when you cook for yourself.
Sure.
But Ariel's right. In a kitchen, you have to have recipes.
Exactly. That's what the recipe is for. So I will say though, this has been one of my favorite first time challenges is that they have, you know, when they first start the episode. I thought it was dope. They actually go out to a store and he tells them, and this was kind of reminiscent of, for me, you know, I watch Top Chef. I'm a big fan of that show as well. And so they're kind of sitting down at the store, and they're like, okay, you have, you know, all this time you're going to be able to cook your own ingredients and stuff. They're like, yeah, you know, I'm going to the store and I'm going to get all these ingredients. And he's, of course, you know, tells Kitchen.
It's never that easy.
Never that easy. So they actually have all these carts come out. And in the carts, you have letters that are attached to it. And what they have to do is they actually have to spell out the ingredients that they want to use.
And I also love, too, that as they're setting that all up, you just look back behind them, you see all the cars going really slow.
Right.
Just watching everything going on.
Of course, yeah. Of course, because I'm sure it looks crazy. Yeah. You have all these cars, you're like, what's going on? I feel like that was, I want to say, it looked like it was Sunset. I'm not entirely sure, but it looked like it might have been Sunset Boulevard, what we saw. But anyway, so they have to spell it out, and they basically have 10 minutes to spell up to 6 ingredients. But then all of them have to use those ingredients, basically. So whatever team you're on, that team, you know, gives the ingredients. And then basically from that, they all have to then take those ingredients and make a dish. But the good thing is he gave them a bonus and allowed them to have 1 minute to go into the store and then basically pick something to make their dish special.
I really hope that store was empty when they did that.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure. Yeah, I'm pretty sure it was. I'm pretty sure it was. But of course, you know, drama ensues. Everybody's trying to get cards, and they're going on. They're trying to spell beets with no S.
Yes, give it up for
no, they had an S for beets, but then they wanted to make squash.
Right. So
and
they
then
said
they needed 2 S's for squash.
Right.
So they're like, fine.
Right.
Beet.
Right. But then it didn't count because it's still not the word.
Well, they got beet. So they got 1.
Did they still count it though?
Yeah, they counted it. They could only have 1.
But they could only use 1 beet.
Yeah, because Christina said, like, sure, you could do that. You only get it 1 beet. Though.
Oh my gosh, that's terrible. That's terrible. But I thought it was hilarious. Everybody's running around. There was one that was like already like almost into the street in S that they didn't see. It was crazy.
Well, I liked Eddie because he was just riding the carts.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, he was having a good time, as he always does. I feel like he always tries to make light of all this, you know, situations and, you know, make his twist and make it fun. So they get all these cards. Like I said, then they each go and they get their special ingredient, and then now they go back and then basically now they have to cook those dishes and then present it to Chef Ramsay, and they're going to get points for each dish. So,
and a little early smack talk about Amanda's choice of picking tomatoes. Like, you have all these choices, and they talk a little smack on that.
Right. What? Yeah, but it's still it worked for her, though.
Yeah, it did.
It worked for her. I do like because, of course, for those of you that know, I am a poet outside of AfterBuzz, and I actually have a poem about how much I love bacon. And my girl Ariel starts talking about bacon and says it makes everything better. And the funny thing is, the last line of the poem that I have says bacon makes everything better. So that for me was a moment. I got a little teary-eyed. Just saying, you know.
Well, so bacon does make everything better.
Right, it does make everything. I'm telling you.
You add bacon and macaroni and cheese, all of a sudden it's like a 5-star macaroni and cheese.
Yes, people. I'm telling you, bacon makes everything better.
Can we hear more of this poem, please?
We don't have enough time for it. Oh. Maybe next time. I'll open the show with the poem. I'll open the show with a few lines of the poem.
I will attest though, as Ariel said that though, I looked back over Lem and you saw the one tear just going right down that cheek.
I'm telling you, man. I'm telling you.
Cry, baby.
I'm telling you.
Show up next
No,
to you?
absolutely. I'm telling you, it was amazing. So we see the blue team go up first, and so Mr. Chad goes up, brings up his dish, and he gets 3 points. Right. Eddie goes up, gets 4 points. Frank's get 3 points. Jared gets 3 points. Amanda gets 4 points. And then Joe, which surprisingly, because I feel like Joe is, he means well, but he doesn't always deliver. He's very inconsistent. But he gets 5 points.
It seemed like a good theme for, like, everybody seemed to do really good cooking the fish.
Right.
But they seemed like they always had the garnishes.
Right.
For some of them were.
And as you said before, like, they were giving her a hard time about tomatoes. But the blue team, at least, it seemed that the simpler dishes were the ones that got the more points.
Well, I think one thing that people have to realize that I've seen over and over with this is taste is always going to win. The good tasting food over presentation. And I think a lot of times you have these, you know, cooks and chefs that want to impress with how, you know, the presentation is and, oh, it looks amazing or whatever. We use these fancy ingredients or we use this little, you know, special way of cooking, but then it tastes terrible.
Well, yeah, you look at Chad where he said, like, hey, I'm going to use that black rice. And I know it takes a little longer to cook, but it pairs really well with salmon.
Right.
But,
or how he always talks about Michelin.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
But why push your luck on something like
exactly.
that?
No, absolutely. Absolutely. So we get to the red team, and actually, if you look at those scores, that was actually a pretty solid score.
Yeah.
So I was concerned about the red team.
22 points.
Right, exactly. So we have Jackie. Miss Jackie. Of course, she goes up. Yeah, she actually had the lowest score out of everybody. She gets a 2. What did she make? She made she had the salmon.
No.
She
had the halibut.
Halibut, excuse me.
She cut off part of the halibut because it burned.
Exactly.
And gave him like half a halibut, and she used the excuse of, well, I like to give small portions.
I leave small portions. Like,
That's
what are you gonna say? But the thing is, it's like it didn't even like it did look like a dog chewed the end of it. That's the problem.
So she didn't make a clean cut.
I mean, if you're gonna cut it off, like cut it off. Don't just break a piece. I'm like, oh, okay, now it's gonna be amazing. Like
maybe like make it into like chop up the halibut. I don't know. Make it look presentable.
More presentable. But she doesn't seem like she has a lot of finesse. So maybe that was very difficult for her in that regard. So she got only 2 points. Ariel comes back, though. My girl Ariel comes back and gets 5 points right out the gate, which is amazing. Hassan gets 3 points. Kristen gets 4 points. Danny gets 3 points. Now it's up to Ashley. And in order to tie, she has to get a perfect score.
And I did not think she was going to nail it.
I didn't think she was going to nail it either. I didn't think she was going to nail it. She also is one that seems to be kind of inconsistent. But she got a 5.
Yeah, not only did she get a 5, but because they both tied, she's the one that won it.
She won the entire, exactly. Not only because of the tie, but all the dishes went up. And I thought it was going to be Ariel because he seemed like, he seemed like when she, he takes it, he's like, oh my gosh, I think he said it's the best thing she had made or something to that degree. Yeah. And so I'm like, oh, she's got this in the bag. She's going to win it all. But it was actually Ashley that won it. So I thought that was good. She wins it for the red team. And they get to go in stunt planes. Yes. Dude, how fresh is that?
That's awesome. But I just like Hassan saying, like, they usually don't let my people up in planes. Right? And stunt planes. Like, all right.
No, his people. Yeah,
his people. Right. That was funny. So they go up in stunt planes. Seemed like it was amazing. I don't know. I mean, my stomach, I don't know if I would have been able to handle.
Well, you weren't alone in that feeling.
Yeah. I was just like, I think it would be fun, but then my stomach would really... be hurting afterwards.
Yeah, well, what did Jackie say? That she felt like she birthed a teenager?
Yes, exactly. That's true Jackie fashion.
And it seemed like that victory at least kind of like calmed the tensions between Ashley and Jackie. So it felt like, they seemed to be enjoying each other's company.
For the time being.
But, yes.
For the time. They didn't want to die and be mad at each other. That's what she said.
That's right.
Like, I don't want to be mad if he dead.
They want their last words to each other to be...
Exactly. You're terrible or whatever. So the blue team, unfortunately, has left by... Not too bad of a challenge. They had to make sangria.
Like Joe saying, what is it?
Not too bad. You have to peel grape.
Wait, okay,
but hard it is to peel a little grape and not ruin it?
And I don't know. I'm sure it's hard, but when you think of all the challenges that they've had or the punishments they've had,
true, but it's still not a good thing to have to do.
No, it's never a good thing.
And you don't get to drink the sangria afterwards.
You don't think they're drinking a little bit?
Not right afterwards.
They gotta taste it. I'm just saying they do have to taste it.
Yeah, but they can't get drunk.
No, they can't. They can't enjoy the sangria.
No.
You are correct.
But I also felt like at that moment they kind of forced the edit on Joe to make it seem like he was really just angry and mad about everything.
Yeah.
And I felt like they pushed that a little too hard because it didn't seem like it really was that.
No, and I think it was because the punishment wasn't that crazy. You're peeling grapes, like you said, which I'm sure is tedious and hard, but then everything else is just cutting up, fruit. So, I mean, not a big deal.
They just probably wanted to try to make it seem that way because he was in the top 3 dishes and he still had to be in this.
Of course. They want to find anything that they could show. I didn't think it was too bad, what have you. So the red teams come back. So now we're into dinner service. And then all the hell starts breaking loose. First thing out the gate, Jackie continues to be a problem. And now she's fighting with Ariel. But it's so minuscule. This is what we were talking about earlier with the whole measuring. It says, she says, what do you use? Oh, I use a cup. This is for the, what was it? The thank you. So she says, oh, I use a cup. She's like, a pint or half pint. She's like, oh, I use a cup. She's like, well, the ingredients say this. And she's like, oh, I use it by sight. And it's like, okay, we're not, cooking Thanksgiving dinner at mom's house or anything like that where you can just do what you want to do. This is a restaurant. And you have to do it for what the recipe says.
Yeah, Gordon Ramsay is not going to give you any points for not using his recipe.
Right. And the thing is, I think she is so into the fact that she wants to do it her way. And she doesn't really want to care about following the rules. I feel like she has an issue with following what people tell her to do or want her to do. Hence, going back to the same issue. Go ahead.
Yeah, but then I think like that. How can you honestly think that you could be a winner then of this whole competition and run BLT steak? Not with that kind of mindset.
Well, no, not at all. But I think she's still. I want to say she's oblivious to a degree. I think she looks at it as. I don't want to say she doesn't want to win. I don't think she's like sabotaging or anything like that. But I think she, in her mind, the way she runs things, I think she thinks that's her way and it's going to work. And it's obviously not.
Well, and I think she thinks, I don't think she's looking at it like, oh, like the rest of my team are mad at me because I'm doing this wrong and because I'm not being a leader and because I'm not listening or paying attention. But she's probably looking at it as like, oh, well, they're just jealous of me. So
True. Because I think she's definitely someone that thinks she's better than what she is.
Yeah.
I definitely 100% think that, and we'll get into it with the dinner service.
She's
but
been low, so
exactly.
I don't know why she would still think that.
But then that's the thing. She thinks that's a lot of times. A lot of people that think that if they end up being bad or on a low scale, it's like, oh well, somebody's hating on me, or it's not my fault. Like it's always deflection. It's never like, oh, I'm really not that good, or I didn't do well today. And I think that's where she's at, and that's why she keeps butting heads with everybody. So, of course, they're getting into it regarding that, something really trivial. Hassan, Mr. Sweatman, he was having troubles.
Sweating into the lobster.
Okay, so there's really nasty. Just imagine, this lobster's kind of salty. Like, that's just really gross.
Well, it also makes you, think how many kitchens have someone sweating like that in there that don't have, a bandana or something.
Or a hairnet or something to catch. Oh yeah, he needed to get it. He needed to get it bad. Jared starts speaking French because Gordon Ramsay is talking, but he gets.
That was insane. That was absolutely insane.
But that's the only word he said in French. Like he wasn't speaking French. He just said yes.
Right.
He took everything wrong about that story that Gordon Ramsay was trying to tell him. And it's like, no, you picked the wrong thing to focus on.
Look at me, oui.
But and then he's trying to talk to his fellow people, and it's like, yeah, and they're like, what are you talking about?
So guys, we got this going right now.
Right. It's like, no, son, just speak English. Yes. Stick with it. Stop trying to impress. But he was. I think he was just trying to impress Gordon Ramsay, and I think he was, based on the story told. Definitely took it out of context, but that's Jared for you. Ariel's doing great with the risotto. We have
and she really stepped up, because usually it's Hassan who's been, at least for the past couple episodes, has been really kind of driving the kitchen, and Ariel just naturally just stepped right into that role, and Hassan kind of took a back seat on this one.
Well, one of the things that I really like, well, I won't say really like about the show, but I think really is poignant about the show is typically the people over the last seasons that I remember, the people that start kind of good and then work their way and continue to grow and continue to get better and assert themselves as a leader, typically the people that end up at the end. You have a lot of people that end up starting strong and they assert themselves, and then they have bad service, and then they lose composure, and then all of a sudden then they disappear, or they make a really bad mistake. Everyone starts gunning for them because they're trying to be the top dog, so they're trying to knock them down and then get it eliminated that way. So I think she's playing even though this is a competition, but it's also a game, and you're trying to assert yourself and stay where you're not eliminated, where you're not thrown up, as far as elimination. And I think she's picking a great time to assert herself as a leader, in the competition.
And it didn't seem at all overbearing or anything like that. It was just making sure that everybody was being as vocal as possible.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. And the thing is, she can cook. Like, she does really great work, so she can back it up. And it's not like somebody like, if Jackie was trying to tell everybody what to do, they'd be like, we're not listening to you because you don't even know what to do. So I think she's picking a great time to do that. Joe, on the other hand, doesn't know where the tables are, so he's over, he's assigned to tableside duty, and what have you guys ever had that?
Octopus, no.
Yeah, it looks good.
I've always been kind of afraid of octopus. Like, I like a lot of seafood, but for some reason, like, I feel like it's going to be really chewy, and I don't like over chewy things. Like, even when calamari gets too overdone, I don't like it anymore.
I've had octopus. I've never had the dish that he was making. I have had octopus, and it's fine, but I like it when it's like on a grill. because I feel like it's less chewy that way,
Okay.
as opposed to whatever else they would use to prepare it. So I mean, it looked good. But yeah, Joe couldn't find the table. He was having difficulty, so the maitre d' had to kind of guide him over, and then he comes over, and then Chef Ram. I mean, oh
And
god,
he was slow.
right? And he was
super
slow, and then he was getting yelled at from the kitchen, for him to come back and help. It's got to be hard, man. I mean, I mean, it's Hell's Kitchen for a reason. It's not your typical, regular working environment. This is a high pressure, high stake environment. And the thing is, you have to have tough skin, but you also have to be able to adapt. And I think a lot of these people, they're not adaptable. They're so stuck in their ways of how they want to cook. Like, someone like Jackie, for instance. It's hard for her to follow the instructions that's given to her because she's stuck, I feel like, in a certain way of cooking. What do you guys think?
Yeah, because I feel like Gordon wants to keep pushing you and see if you'll bend and grow.
Right.
And a lot of these people aren't, and they will just break under that kind of pressure that he puts them under.
Well,
Absolutely.
and I think to speak on to Joe, with him being slow and stuff, and him talking about like, oh, I'm a great people person.
Right.
I worked at Starbucks for 6 years, and one of the hardest things to do is to know how to talk to people but still be working, and to not like be distracted by the talking. And so I think that really hurt him because he was trying to focus on being a people person and talking to the table, and it was like distracting him from what he's doing working.
Right.
Because it is a hard thing to master, because when you're talking, you kind of like forget about time.
Sure.
And then, when you're working, you're not thinking about talking.
Right.
So I think that's kind of what did him in for that part of it.
For that, yeah, because he definitely, is a people person. He prides himself in talking. He even said that, in the segment. But yeah, you have to be able to do both. You have to be able to multitask.
And chefs don't usually have to talk to other people
Sure.
besides like yelling in the kitchen. They're
Sure.
not like having a
Sure.
conversation with someone.
Correct.
And
Correct.
it's hard not to be rude to the customer you're talking to and make them see that you're not engaged in what they're saying.
Right.
And you're not trying to have a back and forth with them, but you're focused on so many other things.
Great point, sir.
My fellow Starbuckian James here in the booth.
Oh, James used to work at Starbucks
Yeah.
too?
Still do, buddy.
Oh, word. That's what it is, multitasking. You see what I'm saying? That's how we do over here at AfterBuzz. I do poems about bacon and I host. I mean, that's just how we roll over
On
here.
his off time, it's always bacon poems.
Always bacon poems. I'm telling you. So
I'm just gonna bring in bacon for you next week. That's what I'm gonna do.
That would be excellent. I would be the happiest person ever.
Just a plate of bacon for them.
That's it. This is right here in the middle. So speaking of Joe, he actually gets kicked out. Because not only is he talking, but his jacket is also very dirty, and it's like unnaturally dirty. Like it was like when they showed it, it looked like he laid down, and then a semi truck rolled over him.
I was wondering how it got so dirty. How did you not notice that?
Well, that's what Chef Ramsay was saying. Like, what are you doing?
I loved his response to it, because he's like, go find another jacket, and he's like, I don't have time for that. I don't know where one is. And he's like, go get another jacket. And he's like, what? I don't understand why he was so mad at me. Like, what do you want? Me serving your people, or is this a fashion show?
Well, you got to serve the people, but you got to look clean.
You got to not look like a slob.
Yeah, exactly. This is Hell's Kitchen. This is not, I don't know. I mean,
This is a 5-star restaurant,
right.
not
Truck
like
stop. Yeah.
Chuck E. Cheese down the road.
Exactly. Yeah, no, it looked really, really bad. It looked really bad. So he goes, he has to run, get a new jacket. Going back to Jackie, she just stops communicating. So they're...
her and Danny are doing entrees, and then you're right. She just started shutting down. Danny's trying to talk to her, and she's not saying anything.
She's
anything
deer
at all.
in the headlight, like.
Well, she was causing, because the whole thing with, the communication. What I learned so much about the food, cooking, watching the show, and then I also follow up with, talking to people that actually work in these kitchens and whatnot. Communication is so key. It's extremely key, and if you don't communicate, you're not going to have your times right. When certain things are coming out. And in this case, Jackie was on the garnish. So if someone's on, doing the meats, for instance, there's a garnish that goes with the meat, they have to go up at the same time. So that way it can be plated and then sent out to the diner. So, but if you don't know what time the garnish is going to be done, or the garnish is like, oh, I need 10 minutes, and the meat is like, okay, well, I'm going to be ready in 10 minutes, and then you're not ready, then the meat, keeps cooking, then it's going to overcook.
Or it gets cold.
Or something. It's going to be bad. And so she stopped communicating again because she's in Jackie world. And basically, in this case, it caused Danny to overcook the steak she was making.
But even when she started communicating, she was so vague about it. I just need minutes.
Right.
Minutes is not an accurate time to be able to base anything.
And then there was the whole thing with the French fries where she told Kristen, this is 2 servings. She said, "Is this 2 servings?" Yes. And it clearly wasn't.
Clearly
2
was
servings.
not. 1.5. And so, I don't know. I mean, you have to be able to get out of your shell. You have to communicate. And I know sometimes, and I've seen in the show too before, not too often, but sometimes you have somebody that's doing well. You try to sabotage them so that way, they look bad and then hopefully go for elimination and then get kicked out, and then now you're, again, it's a show, it's a competition at the end of the day. Sometimes they do that. In this case, Danny, she's just in her own world, I think. And I think she was overwhelmed. And there was a point in time where, it was Hassan, right?
Yes.
Was telling her, hey, let's get some help for you. She's like, oh, I don't need the help.
Well, yeah, and he said, was it him that said 2 and 2 into her? Like, we got 2 beef Wellingtons, we got 2 Arctic char, and like she's. Oh no, that was to Danny. I'm sorry, that was the wrong one. That's when he was trying to.
Oh yes, Danny. yes. But he was trying to get help for her, and she was like, "Oh no, I don't need any help. I don't need any help." And it's like, no, you do. You obviously do, because stuff isn't right. The kitchen isn't flowing smoothly because of you.
And then even when it kept to Ariel, when she was saying, "Bro, we're doing this," it threw me off for a second because she was afraid of talking about Jackie, but saying "bro."
Saying "bro."
Whoa, what? All right, okay.
Yeah, that's her thing. We got poor Chad up in the blue kitchen, sends up raw chicken.
After talking like, everybody looks to me.
Oh God,
as the go-to guy. Yes, because I'm a 3-star Michelin chef. Like, oh man.
I mean, it was like perfect timing too.
Yes.
And I think too, again, your arrogance can kill you. You're in the kitchen. I don't care what you've done. I still think you have to follow the formula. If you do too much, it's going to bite you in the booty.
Yeah, you have to be confident, but not be cocky.
Exactly.
And I have not seen anybody go, at least this season, indicate they've been looking to Chad as the go-to guy.
Right. Oh, no, not at all. Not at all.
He's just like, he's not he doesn't make bad food, but his food isn't necessarily raved about either. It's good.
Right. In this case, I mean, raw chicken is like the cardinal sin.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just really like raw fish, okay, whatever, because you could still eat fish raw, obviously, with sushi or whatever.
And steak you can eat
exactly.
raw.
But chicken you cannot. It's just not possible. And so to send up raw chicken, I mean, you're really affecting people's health.
And the raw chicken was for the CSI Miami
Yes. Shout out to my boy Omar. Yeah, that's my boy. He was in there.
That's the one dish you don't want.
Exactly. Oh no. Not at all. And then what's funny is he has this yelling tutorial with him. So he's like, okay, say you need 1 more minute. He's like, I need 1 more minute. He's like, say it louder, yell it louder.
Yes.
I need 1 more minute. He's like, no, say it louder. And it's like at the same volume every single time. It's like, can you please yell? Like for real? Like, come on, man. So I think he's another person kind of stuck in his head, trying to, you need to bend and get to the formula, but again, your arrogance, gets in your way, or, whatever you feel is getting in the way, and that's going to hurt you. You're not going to make it to the end with that type of situation. It's just not going to work. Now, when you get into the top 6 and you have the black jackets, because, for those of you who haven't watched a season yet, typically it gets down to 6, it's the black jackets, and then everybody's all for themselves. So in that case, yeah, it's all for yourself. But while you're on the team, you have to function as a team.
Because if your team wins, no one's up for elimination on
Exactly.
your team.
Typically. That is the case.
And it's always interesting to see how Gordon decides to prove a point with the team. For example, when the chicken was undercooked, he made everybody sit down at the table and really talk to them. Sometimes he'll just have one of the guys that overcook something or sit there and just eat it before they get back in.
Right.
But this is a time when everybody gets in. And if I'm like one of the guys that, if I'm not Chad, and I was like, why am I getting sat down because you couldn't cook chicken properly?
Right.
Thanks a lot.
Well, I think he did that because Chad wasn't the only one that messed up that night. There was continuous mess ups on both red and blue.
Right.
Throughout the whole night.
Yeah.
Like there was this week? That might have been lost. Sorry,
Yeah.
I watched 2 episodes today, guys. I'm really sorry.
Oh, it's all good. No, it's all good. It's okay. But you're right. He wasn't the only one that messed up. There were other mess ups. Bottom line is, like you were saying, Frank, it is a team effort. I remember when I was in the military, that was one thing I would get everybody in trouble because in basic training, I was the type of dude like, oh, you figure if I mess up, then it's on me. No, it's mass punishment. You mess up, everybody's in trouble because the whole point is you're working as a team. And so in this case, it's the same thing. You're working as a team. One person mess up, everybody messes up. So you have to keep each other accountable. And I think that's what he was doing by sitting everybody down. It's like, yo, you have to keep each other accountable so you can get through dinner service. And then you're good. but you got to make it through, you know, and that's the point. So he actually, after all the services were done, he basically said both teams lost. You know, they both didn't complete service, but he did highlight 2 people, one on each team. He highlighted Ariel, which I knew was going to happen once he said that he was going to highlight people on the red team, and he highlighted Jared on the blue team.
For his wheeze.
Right.
But, like, I thought was this the first week we've had in a while? I feel like this is the first week in like a few weeks now where both teams have actually finished out service without being sent back.
Yes.
Oh, yes. You mean sent back? What do you mean sent back?
Like, usually, like, the past weeks is just, like, get out of here.
Oh, like
and,
sending
like,
people out.
Yeah, like, he doesn't let them finish their service.
Right.
Like, has the other team come over? Or...
Yeah, I want to say this, but see, the thing is, you got to realize they still were losers. Like, they still had to, you know, own up.
But at least they were able to finish
Right,
service.
they just didn't get kicked out. Yeah, they did well enough to not get kicked out. Yeah, so that, I mean, that speaks volumes, too.
A little bit of improvement.
Little bit.
And if I'm Jared, I'm never not saying we. For the rest of the time I'm there, always say we, man. Always.
Just whatever it is.
Oh, my God.
Whatever it is, we ain't gonna be like, what vessel you cooking for? Wheat? Like, just
Okay,
start saying it for
he
whatever.
should like learn one new word a week at least. By the end of this, he can say one
Super
sentence.
impressed, right? So, what Chef Ramsay does is he tells these 2 individuals to basically then talk to the rest of their teams to find out who's going to go up for elimination. Of course, that's going to create instant drama because now you have somebody on the team who everyone may not like, and now your fate is in their hands solely, not a team effort, just by them to be put up for elimination. So of course, you know, there are a lot of people were feeling some kind of way. And Jared starts acting like the Godfather.
Oh, he did.
I was waiting for him to have like the big cheek, like, you know.
Yes.
I thought it was funny because both Ariel and Jared got pegged as something.
Right.
Like they
right.
pegged him as the Godfather, and Kristen pegged Ariel as like she's acting like a queen. Like,
right. The queen. And she, well, Ariel's on it. She's like, I am the queen. You know, that's how I do.
Strong black woman. Always got a crown on my head.
Exactly. Boom. There it is. That's how it goes. But I mean, again, you're just going to get, I mean, no matter what, and I don't think any of them, you know, overstep their bounds in the sense. I mean, Jared, he was having a little bit of fun when he was like, you know, state your case, you know, go ahead. You know, tell me what you think. And then, you know, he makes his decision. Whereas Ariel, her approach was like, you 2 are going up.
Yeah.
I'm just letting you know you're going up. So there it is. So
Which
no
I
matter
thought
how
she
you
was
feel.
completely right with Jackie, but I'm not sure if Kristen was the right choice to be sent up that way.
I don't
personally.
And I think it could have been a personality issue because
it might have been. I think if I were to pick, it would have been Danny.
Well, she did good this week, though. I mean, from what we saw,
there was the issue. I thought that she sent up fish.
Well, she sent up the steak, but that really wasn't
she only made
her
one
fault.
tuna instead of 2 tunas.
Oh, that was on the previous week.
Was that?
That's
sorry.
no, it's
See,
okay.
This is what happens when you watch 2.
I know, it's all good. It's all good. But I mean, I think overall, I mean, I honestly, I think definitely agree with Jackie. Of course, I think Kristen was more of a personality thing.
I mean, I don't know if there was anyone necessarily instead of Kristen, but
that's what I'm saying. That's why I said because it wasn't a clear second person. I think Kristen was just, you know, hey, I don't really care for, you know, we're not friends. And she even said that. She says, you know, we don't really get along too well. But by the way, I'm setting you up for elimination. All right, good night. You know,
you can't send Hassan up for sweating.
Exactly. Lobster sweat. That's like the new. You know what the lobster bisque with the sweat?
He can't help it.
I mean, well, he could have put a bandana. Yeah, you know,
but he can't help the amount of sweat.
No, he can't. But anyway, blue team. So Jared's acting like Godfather. So it goes up to you know, of course, who gets put up. And Jared actually put up Eddie and Joe. Do you guys agree with that?
I mean, Joe had the issue just with the shirt and being a little slow, but I thought Chad, with the problem with the chicken, I thought he would have been the more
I thought it was
going to
be Joe and Chad too.
You thought it was going to be Joe and Chad.
I thought it was going to be Eddie and Chad.
Oh, really? I thought it was going to be Joe and Chad.
Eddie had the problem cooking the garnishes. I mean, I thought Eddie and Chad had the problems with cooking as opposed to Joe, who just had a problem with being dirty and being a little slow. Wasn't like that. Wasn't like the food was not cooked well. It was just slow.
Yeah, but I felt like Joe, just because he was the face of their team out in the dining room.
Right.
That's what people are perceiving as your
Sure. I mean, I agreed with Joe for sure because, and just not with this week, but even previous weeks, he just hasn't shown to me to be somebody that is consistent. And so, you know, like obviously he did well in the challenge, you know, earlier that day, But like I said, he's just not consistent. But then there were other times where he just really fell flat, overall. Eddie, I thought it was going to be Chad as well, especially because of the chicken situation. Because again, Cardinal Sin, the raw chicken. But
plus,
again,
Eddie's a character. Like, I felt like he might.
Yeah.
He might. I don't want to lose him. He's fun to watch.
He is fun to watch. He is fun to watch. But again, if you think about it, go in the previous, he has not really shown, any type of form of greatness. He hasn't really had any highlights. He's not like he's been the worst, but he hasn't been good either.
But
so
when it came down to him and Jackie being the two up there,
once he put the other two away.
You thought
for sure it was going to be Jackie.
I thought it was going to be Jackie. I mean,
I knew it wasn't going to be Jackie just because Jackie is drama.
Yeah, but
I was wondering if both of them were going to go.
Oh, really?
For a second, I was like, is this going to be like we're going to do 2 a week?
Right.
Or it's just done?
Sometimes he'll do that. Sometimes he'll eliminate. Yeah, he'll eliminate 2 people. I mean, it all depends. I know he tries to keep it, people guessing so that it doesn't seem too, redundant or cliche or whatever. But I think particularly it should have been either Jackie or Joe. I didn't think Jackie was going to go home, even though she's put up. Because my thing is, she's going to get put up probably every single time. If it's, if she consistently is this way, she's going to get put up. Because the thing is also, it's a popularity thing. People don't like her because of how crass she is with everyone.
Well, no one wants to work with that. So how is she going to lead a kitchen?
Exactly.
If that's her personality, people don't want to work with her.
Exactly. Now, if she was killing every time, like she was just stellar, then you was like, well, you couldn't say anything, and Chef Ramsay would be like, well, that's too bad. She's a good cook. But she's not even a good cook on top of that being crazy. So I really think she's just there because she does bring drama, which it's a reality show at the end of the day, and we want to see that. But I really thought between Eddie and Joe, I thought it should have been Joe. Personally.
Well, it seemed like Gordon agreed with their choices except for Kristen because he was like, Kristen, get back.
Right. Which, like I said before, I think it was more of a personality thing. No. And you get this, especially, when you have just one person deciding who's going to go up as opposed to the whole team. I definitely think Jackie still would have gone up regardless.
Yeah.
They would have all
and
put
it
her
might
up.
have just been that Gordon chose Eddie over Joe this week just because he saw that from Joe. And he's like, well, I saw that little glimpse of him making something really good. Maybe there's more to him than I think. Sure.
Could have been. But yeah, I'm really sad to see Eddie go. He does get eliminated because, like you said, he's comic relief. He's funny. Like
he's the only guy.
he's really, like, the stuff he says, it's hilarious. And I really love his, commentary or whatever. Especially now that we don't have Alan, because he also did that.
Yes.
So we got Alan gone, and then we have Eddie. The comedians are gone. So now it's like there's no comedians, so it's not going to be funny anymore.
No, all we have is Jared just offering like Ashley, I'm here for you, and offering comfort.
Wait. Time out. I'm so glad you brought that up.
I forgot about that.
Can we talk about Jared? So, okay, Jared the entire season has been like the slime ball, like let me holler at you type dude, and it's like, dude, really?
I felt like we were in the Big Brother house, and there was going to be like that, dark lit camera with the green, and you were going to see them making out in the bed. Like, I thought that's what we were going towards.
But my thing is, like, Jared, dude, you're trying like too hard. Like, they're not feeling like what's her, who was the one, like he started first with the one. She keeps getting the flack. She was getting the flack earlier because Jackie was talking about her.
Ashley.
Yes, you got me. So he was flirting with Ashley, and he's been doing that, consistently. And then it's like he's moving
Ariel
on.
Told
Right,
us
exactly.
that thing that before the show, he was messaging her or something.
Yeah.
From like a previous reality show.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. So it's like, yo, what are you doing? But it's just so funny how I could just see him like, any counseling? Anybody need hey, you feeling all right? Let me talk to you.
I feel like he's the kind of guy that shows up in the middle of the night with like a robe on and 2 glasses of wine. It's like, how you doing?
How you doing? You need a back rub? I got you. No, he kills me with his game. Like, it's just, and there's always usually some type of, some pseudo romantic connection or wannabe or whatever. And I don't really see 2 people like, oh my gosh, I really like you. I just see him just trying to prey on all the women.
And I think she just kind of Ashley just kind of, I think, likes the attention. She's not actually wanting to be with him. She's just like, you know what?
Yeah.
I'm not getting a lot of attention while I'm here.
Exactly.
No, a house full of people that I'm not attracted to. So why not?
Sequestered, whatever. But I just really think it's, girl, you need a hug. Let me hug you, girl. I got you. I'm gonna take all your pain away.
She's just like crying. She's like, thank you.
Yeah. That was the best scene ever. I'm so glad you brought that up, Frank.
I know. I totally forgot
Oh
about
man,
it.
that was hilarious. So going into next episode, obviously it's going to be chaotic again. I would like to get into, at this point, predictions to see what you guys think. Let's do that.
And now, your AfterBuzz TV
Predictions. All right, so I'll start with you, Happy Go Jackie.
All right.
So what do you think going forward regarding, how the things are going to shake up? We obviously have a mixture now. We've had people go to the red team from the blue team and vice versa. And so we have kind of a little bit of an more even kill. We lost, of course, the person that went home, which was Eddie, who I don't think, he wasn't a super strong person. Not like he's going to be missed in that regard as far as the cooking is concerned. But I think that it seemed like for a while, the blue team, in my opinion, had a strong advantage because they were winning consistently over the red team until he started mixing it up, and then it became more even. So what do you think going forward is going to take place?
Because I'm starting to look at who do I think is Black Jacket potential right there. And so if I'm looking at the blue team, I'm thinking right now that it's going to be I'm going to go with Jared, Manda, and Joe. I feel like out of those three, I could see them maybe making it to the final six.
Okay.
I don't think Frank's going to cut it. I don't think he's going to make it.
Yeah, he's not consistent at all.
And then if I'm looking at the red team, I'm going to go with Ariel Hassan, and I'm torn between Danny and Ashley, but I think Ashley, even though she's been coming on a little bit stronger with the cooking wise, so I could see that. Even though Danny seems to be a little bit more of a leader,
right?
I feel like Ashley's bringing it with the cooking, so I think I'd go over Ashley over Danny.
Okay, good. What do you think, Brie?
I don't necessarily. I think that those are good predictions for who's going to go to the Black Jacket, except for I might say Chad over Joe.
Chad over Joe.
Yeah.
Okay.
But I do think with next week for predictions, at least, because we saw Frank and Manda going at it. So, one, I think that we're going to have a lot of issues with Frank in the kitchen next week, as well as at the house, because I think there's just going to be tension.
Right.
But I also think, I don't know how many more episodes we have with Jackie, because if you can only keep her around for so long,
right,
with her performing this way,
sure,
and having that attitude.
Sure.
So I almost want to say that I think Jackie's gonna go home next week.
Next week?
For sure, she can't make it to the Black Jacket. She can't.
She's not. She's definitely not making the Black Jacket. Like, no way possible, unless she just became super woman and made everything amazing. Like, it's just not happening.
Like, I'm gonna say unless she cooks 100% perfectly and does nothing wrong next week, she's gonna go home if the girls lose.
Right, which is not gonna happen. Not gonna happen at all. I agree with you. I do think if she has another service like she did, and then the red team has to set up somebody for elimination, I think she's going to go home. Unless someone does something heinous or really just, terrible, that just, it's like, oh, you have to go.
They spit in Gordon Ramsay's face.
Something, right. But I really think her time is winding up. I don't think there's anybody that's, like I said, on her team that is to the bad, at the same level as she is. I think she's at the lowest right now, where her team is at now.
And I would think that I think it's just going to be Jackie and Kristen, because Kristen not as bad as Jackie, but she still hasn't, like Ramsay said, you haven't really shown me anything.
Yeah, I think Kristen's like Eddie in that respect. She's just a person that isn't growing at all, but she's.
Yeah, she's staying off the radar for sure. And like I said, again, I think that her getting put up was strictly a move on Ariel's part, just to be like, I don't like you, you're gonna go up, and that's it.
And
because
probably knowing you're not gonna get sent.
Yeah, I'm just gonna send you up. Because honestly, and that actually, if you think about it, let's say if the blue team wasn't a factor, let's say it was one of the situations where just the red team would have gone up, then he would have definitely sent Jackie home.
Yes.
Jackie would have definitely gone home. It was just they had the benefit of having the blue team, and then he could pick from both. And so that's why I'm saying, if it's a red team and they just are sending up two people and Jackie's up, Jackie is definitely going home, because I cannot see anybody else, that is going to go home, before her.
If it's red, it's going to be Jackie.
Yeah.
If it's blue, I want to say it's either going to be Frank or Joe. One of those two, depending on the service.
The only thing I could say, and we've already seen this, and it could happen again, is if Jackie gets sent up and he doesn't want her to go home yet, go over to the blue team. That's the only thing I could see outside of her getting sent
I don't know
home.
if I want to see her and Frank on the same team.
I think that would, now that you talk about some drama, that would be hilarious because she's going to go buck wild over there. So, I mean, it's possible. I don't think it'll happen. The only way that could happen is if, let's say the blue team lost the person and then they're like, okay, Jackie, you go over there now to balance it out or something like that.
I feel like a move like that would only be just because you want to keep Jackie around an extra week for the drama.
Exactly.
But you know she's not going to go the distance.
Oh, of course.
Well, here's a random question for both of you because I know that you guys have watched the show a lot longer than me, so you know a little more about what goes on. Mm-hmm. Since he sent 2 people home in 1 week, do you think we're going to get an episode where no one goes home? Do you think that's a possibility?
I don't think so. I will say this. I have seen where someone goes home in the middle of the episode and then he does not send anybody home. Like he basically says, okay, no one's going home because someone already went home that week. Okay. I haven't seen that I can recall where he sent 2 people home and then a couple of weeks down, he's like, okay, nobody's going home. Like, I don't think I've seen that ever. It's only if it's happened within the same week. So the fact that 2 people, and it's consistent, unless he sends somebody home early, like they just are terrible and he's like, get out of the kitchen, you're gone, out of here, then somebody might be saved. But not going forward. Absolutely not. I don't think so.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's either they're saved or he uses that opportunity to switch them to the other team.
Right. True. Yeah. It could be. That could happen. That could be a situation where he decides he's not going to send anybody and he wants to switch over to only for the sake of television. Yeah. And that's only like a Jackie situation. That would only be the sake of, okay, we don't want her to go yet. We're going to get off the red team and then we're going to send her over here and just see kind of what can happen.
Yeah,
ultimately.
That's like buying you an extra week.
Exactly.
Yeah, it's like, all right, Jackie didn't work out on the blue team either.
Right.
Get going.
Yeah, no, but I definitely believe that she's going home next week. I'm with you on that.
Ooh,
yeah, I definitely think. Yeah, I just, and like I said, unless the red team doesn't have to send anybody up, that's the only reason I should stay.
Yeah, because there's only so many times you can mess up in the kitchen and also have an attitude like that and stay around. Like,
exactly.
At one point, it's like, okay, now you're just doing it for ratings and everyone knows it. And
I will say, though, if we have a blue team situation, I think Frank is out of here.
Yes.
I think Frank is out of here. I think he's all talk, and we do see that there's some drama with him from the previews going into next week. But he's so much, from day one, he's been talking up a big game, and he has, to me, I don't think he's delivered ever.
Well, and it's funny because these past few weeks he's kind of been like subdued. Like you're not seeing a whole lot of him, so it's like we were kind of due for an outburst.
Right. Which, looks like we're gonna happen. But I mean, I don't think he's just strong enough. Like I think there's so many other people that are better than him. They might not be as vocal as him, but they're definitely better than him. And I think he just prides himself in being, well, I'm the guy and I'm gonna talk the loudest, and then kind of get over from that.
But I did like his comment to Jared's wheeze. It's like, if they would do that around us, we'd just grab this can and then we'd
right. See, that's what I'm saying. Like, this is all about the four. We just take it and then we just beat them up with it and put it. Like, come on, man. You gotta cook good. You can't just intimidate everybody and expect to live. Like, you can't vote me in because I'm gonna beat you up.
This isn't the mob kitchen.
No, it's not. It's not. It's called Hell's Kitchen. And it is Hell's Kitchen, and that is the end of our episode. We want to thank you for tuning in, as always, with us. Make sure that you comment on our YouTube page, AfterBuzzTV.com, / all of that. Find us. I'm at The Poet Saint all day, every day. I love bacon, and I do poems about bacon. And you can find me there. And maybe I'll do a little poem next week. Maybe. We'll see. But I'm excited to be here. And Bree is here, and she also is on social media. Bree, where can they find you?
Hey guys, you can find me at bphipps14.
Yeah. Frank Moran.
You can find me on Twitter at HappyGoJackie. Check me out at iOS with my improv team Max every Tuesday night at 9:30.
Tuesday night at 9:30. There it is. Ladies and gentlemen, we will see you next week. Until then, long live bacon.
From executive producers Maria Menounos, Kevin Undergaro, Phil Svitek, and the entire AfterBuzz TV staff, we would like to thank you for listening to the AfterBuzz TV Network. To watch or listen to other after shows and post comments or questions, be sure to visit AfterBuzzTV.com. I'm Sir Richard Wentworth, and this has been a presentation of AfterBuzz TV.
Buzz you later.
The views expressed herein are those of the hosts only and do not necessarily reflect the views of AfterBuzz TV or its owners or principals.